This is our October grocery haul. This is all the items that I bought that were not produce. So if you'd like to see the produce part of the grocery haul, that is part one of this video, and this is part two. If you're just meeting me, my name is Amy Cross, and this is the Cross Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries and always have the things that you need on hand to make a variety of different meals. Our grocery budget for our family is $135 per person per month. So for the total for our grocery budget, because there's only two of us here at the house, is $270 per month. I have been able to stick to this grocery budget even with prices increasing over the last few years and keep our grocery budget in check and have everything that we need. I focus a lot around meal planning and the produce that's in season. It seems like spring, summer meals seem to fit into one category, and fall, winter meals end up being a little bit more warm and cozy, and they're focused around the seasonal produce and things that I can put in the oven. It's also a great time for me to be batch cooking and putting items away in the freezer that we can be pulling out for the next few months. I like to really focus on having the ingredients we need in our house to be able to make mini meals, and I don't necessarily follow a meal plan. So I like to make sure that the things that I bring into the house are very versatile and I can use them multiple different ways. We just moved into a new house in a new area that's closer to our family in September, so this is only my second time going grocery shopping since we moved. And I was really focusing on making sure I had some extra things because we seem to be having impromptu family dinners quite often. So far, with them being over more often, it hasn't affected our grocery budget at all. I'm just able to stretch out the meals a little bit more and accommodate more people. I talk about all of the meals that I'm making in our meals series. We started this at the beginning of 2025, and we are on meal video number 20 right now. So it goes through all of the different seasons and all of the new recipes that I'm making with these ingredients that I have in our house all the time. I have my list here in my grocery planner, and as I was going through the grocery store, I was writing down how much everything was costing me, so I was staying in check. Normally, I will round things up to the next 25 cents or the next dollar when I'm doing this, and that way I make sure that I don't go over budget. The first thing that was really important that I got, and I ended up getting a bigger one than I normally do, but I got cheese. I actually ran out of cheese towards the last couple days of my grocery shopping cycle. I forgot I did have some frozen mozzarella cheese in the freezer, but I got a bigger block of cheese, so when company is over, it's really easy to hand out cheese slices as a snack if I need to. But I had made batch cooked enchiladas, and I kind of forgot accounting for that I was going to go through extra cheese too. So anyways, I did make sure I got a 5-pound block of cheese. I normally only get a 2-pound block. Now this is a medium cheddar, so it will freeze. I will divide this up into some smaller portions and put some in a glass container, and that will go into the refrigerator. And then the rest I'll end up putting into the freezer. I don't have my food saver out right now. If I did have my food saver out, I'd probably end up vacuum sealing it, but it's one of those boxes I still have packed up from the move. But I will probably end up putting this in a glass container in the freezer. So that big block of cheese was $15, and it was top priority for me. I made sure to write that down first, and then I made sure to go into the dairy case and I got some eggs, which I got a 24-pack of eggs, which seems to be enough for us right now. And since I got milk the last time I went to Costco, I ended up not getting milk this time, and I got half and half instead, which is kind of a nice treat to put into our coffee. Normally we just use the whole milk. And then I like using it for things like my chicken orzo dish too, to just make it a little bit more creamy. I always get a container of cottage cheese. We are in Dairy Gold country now, being on this side of the state, so that's what is available here is Dairy Gold. And then they didn't have any Greek yogurt. I went around the loop like twice looking for it, so I ended up just getting sour cream, but normally I get Greek yogurt instead of sour cream and just use it for everything. I did get the box of cream cheese, and this has 6 packages of cream cheese inside of this, and this was under $8, so that is way less expensive than buying it at the grocery store. And then also the use by date on this is April 18th, 2026. So that is many months out. If you are keeping it sealed in the packages, you can keep that in your refrigerator until April. And then if you need it to go past that, then you could put it in the freezer. When I do open one of the packages, I do normally store it in a glass container so it stays fresh and it doesn't mold very quickly. If you do end up putting cream cheese in the freezer, it just gets kind of crumbly, which is still great to add to any kind of dishes that you are baking or cooking on the stove. And if you want it to be creamy and smooth again, you can just toss it in the blender. These items that we have talked about so far ended up being $46 that I've spent. I did get one of the chicken packages. I like these that they're vacuum sealed. They come in 6 packages, and this was $25. I'm able to stretch one of these packages to last at least 2 dinners for us. And so that works out really well. That's technically like 12 dinners for us with one package of chicken for $25. A lot of the recipes that I show in the meals videos are how I'm able to cook chicken one night and then I put it away in the freezer and make something else different out of it. And we're going to make a blog post also talking about some of those ideas that I use with chicken that kind of stretch the budget out and we're not having the same thing every night. If you saw our previous video with the produce haul, you will see that I bought a ton of tomatoes, and with that, I like to make spaghetti sauce and I like to have Italian sausage with that. So I ended up getting 3 packages of Italian sausage. Now these styrofoam containers do not freeze very well. You can put them in the freezer for a little while, but they are going to get frostbitten really quickly. So I normally say if you're putting something in the freezer like this, you want to use it within 1 to 3 months so it doesn't go bad. If you're planning on using it later, then make sure that you transfer it into a freezer safe container. Now, when we were at the store, I did reach towards the back and get the ones that were frozen already instead of the ones that were frozen and were starting to defrost because we had a really long car drive home and I knew that I was just going to put them back into the freezer for a couple days. So for that meat, I only spent $40 total. It was $25 for the chicken and then $15 for the Italian sausage. And the Italian sausage is going to spread out to a ton of spaghetti sauce that we're going to be using for many months. I already have beef in our chest freezer. If you're interested in buying beef in bulk, make sure that you check out our video series that we have on that and it will answer all of your questions. But yes, I do buy meat and it's with the same grocery budget. At Costco, I always like to get one of these boxes of the bread. Now this bread only has a couple organic ingredients in it, but it will last on the shelf for many months. The date on here is April 10th, 2026. So I'd like to have one of these that I have in my pantry and we can pull it out at any time. And then it's going to make sure that we have fresh bread all the way through the winter, kind of as a food security item for us. But the way that it's packaged makes it fresh until April 10th, 2026. And the ingredients in it are organic unbleached wheat, flour, water, sea salt, and organic barley malt. So it's not the ingredients that keep it fresh longer, it's the way that it's packaged. That sourdough bread ends up being like $7.89. I just write $8 down in my planner, but I make sure that I have at least one of those in my pantry all winter long. And then I already have some tortillas in the freezer, but I was making Crunch Wrap Supremes lately, and then I was just using regular size soft taco burritos for it, and then we decided we were going to film a whole video. So I ended up getting some burrito size ones so I could show you how to make them a little bit nicer looking than the ones that I made in the meals video. But I thought this would be a good time to talk about this too. So this is a 40 count. There's 2 packages of 20. And since it's just Mike and I here, we don't need to have 20 tortillas out at a time. I will just take one of these packages and use whatever we're going to use for that family dinner. But then after the family dinner and making it for a video, whatever I have left in this package, I'm going to end up putting some wax paper in between maybe 4 tortillas at a time. And that way I can just go in and grab 4 out at a time or whatever I need for my family's size and we're making for dinner. So if you just put some wax paper and seal it back up, you can put this in the freezer and then just have it for like a year handy in the freezer. And then I just pull it out of the freezer around lunchtime and lay them on a plate, and they're totally defrosted before dinner time. After Costco, we went to 𝐂𝐿, and in the bulk food section, I ended up getting some pearled barley that I put in our muslin produce bags. And that way I didn't have to add any extra plastic, and you don't have to worry about these ripping like the plastic bags do. So I was able to put what I wanted into this bag and then just put a tab on it. So they knew the number to check it out when I went to check out. But this is pearl barley. I'll end up putting this in a quart-sized jar with a metal lid, and it will stay fresh literally for years in the jar. I got enough probably to last about 2 years, and it only cost $1. In my produce haul, I got some rutabagas and turnips and carrots and celery so I can make some beef stew and different soups over the winter time and be able to add this to it. The sourdough bread, the tortillas, and the barley ended up costing $16. Those are the things that I needed to get when I was out grocery shopping. So right now my total is right around $102. Now, since I went to 𝐂𝐿 and I kind of pushed my grocery shopping out a little bit later in the month. Normally I go the first week of the month, but over the move, I ended up pushing it a little bit further out. That way, when we're thinking about the holidays, I'm able to go to the grocery store now around the 20th of November instead of the 1st of November. So I was thinking ahead way back, even in August and September, thinking about when I wanted to go grocery shopping for Thanksgiving. But there are a few items around Thanksgiving time that are really special to our family. One of them is this broccoli cheese dish that my mom used to always make, and it had a special cheese that I can't pronounce right. We always tease that it's monster cheese, but the monster, can't pronounce it. Somebody will probably correct me. Cheese. I got 2 packages of this. These are things that I did not need in October, but I was starting to think about the holidays and I can throw these into the freezers. I ended up spending $8 on this cheese, and it will go into the freezer and it'll be ready for me when I go to make it for Thanksgiving. I actually got 2 packages of this because we are going to film a video, so it will be up on the channel before Thanksgiving if you would like to make my mom's broccoli casserole. Something else that I didn't need exactly right now, but I was thinking about stocking up, and I am about halfway through my last container, is this garlic and herb seasoning. I use this all of the time, and I like to have a backup one in the pantry. I have noticed that it used to be 6 something and now it is 8 something, but it is still something that I like to have on hand at all the time. And then I ended up still having a few dollars in my grocery budget. So these are just extra things that I bought that I had extra money for. So I got some smoked Gouda. I like these in cuts. They're at our 𝐂𝐿, and they are 2 1/4. I was able to get these for $4.50, and we can pull them out when we have company or just for a special treat, which is really nice to have. And these will last if they're still sealed all through the winter time in the refrigerator. So it's a really nice thing to have on hand. And because I was still under budget, I decided to get one more thing that would actually make my life a little bit easier over the winter time. I know that I could easily make these, but I really just like having pie crust on hand. So I put these in the freezer. This was less than $10. There's 8 of them in there. And then I don't have to worry about making pie crusts for any of the apple pies or pumpkin pies that we're going to have, but definitely for the savory chicken pot pies and beef pot pies that we have over the winter time. So this comes in super handy for us. It was only $9 for 8 of them, and you can store them in the freezer. So for all of the items that we talked about in this video, the total so far is $132.89. Now I did buy a couple more things that I want to talk about. I bought some napkins, which is just kind of a funny thing, normally when I'm sitting down at the table, I just go and grab a dish towel to use as my napkin, and then I put it in the laundry. And we don't really have napkins that often, but we've been having family dinners more often, and it just felt like we needed to have napkins in the house. So I ended up buying some napkins, and one more thing, candy for trick-or-treaters. Now, we are in a new neighborhood, and I have no idea how many trick-or-treaters we're gonna have come on Halloween, but I want to be prepared. So the napkins and the candy that we bought were made on a separate purchase, and they were not part of our groceries. Really, if we couldn't afford it, we would turn off the lights and not hand out candy. But I want to make sure that all of the groceries that we need to make sure that we can make meals for our family, we always have the food we need in the house. I get asked sometimes how I picked $135 for our family, and that was our grocery budget. It is something that I picked as a grocery budget way back about 15 years ago when we were dealing with a financial crisis in our house. We actually had a grocery budget of $100 per person in our house, and at the time our kids were home, and then we became foster parents after that also, and it was just what we could afford. So that was what we could afford and still keep the lights on and make sure that the mortgage was paid. So we had based our grocery budget around that $100 around 2015 or so. So it's been about 10 years. I did bump that up to $135 per person when we found out that we had some allergies in the family and I was trying to buy higher quality items. But I've been able to stick to that $135 per person now for around 10 years. I can't remember exactly when that started. So around 10 years, but definitely pre-pandemic, I started with $135 for our family. And even as our kids have moved out and our family size has gotten smaller in the last 18 months, I've been able to stick to that grocery budget of being $270 per month, and we have everything that we need. I tried to be really transparent that our budget and our financial situation has changed over the years, and we're not in that financial struggle that we used to be in, but we still stick to this frugal grocery budget mostly so I can help teach other families that it is possible. And especially in a time when things seem so stressful, you can have groceries in your house to feed your family and to learn some tricks to make things a little bit easier. But I hope that you're following along and getting meal inspiration ideas to know that you can have wholesome, easy meals for your family and you don't necessarily have to cook every day. I am happy to answer your questions. The more that you watch our videos and share and like and engage with the videos, the more that we're able to reach out to other families and help families that are really struggling trying to get groceries into their house. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We put out 3 videos every single week on this channel, going from what I bought grocery shopping, how I'm able to keep produce fresh for a really long time, batch cooking ideas, and all kinds of meal inspirations and some other fun things in between. And one last thing, make sure that you're checking out the meal planners. They are listed in the description below, and there's also a discount code, and there are bundles if you're interested in the book and bags and different things. But these meal planners end up helping you save so much money on groceries. It helps you track how much you're spending at the grocery store and how often you're going out to eat and why you're going out to eat, but also keeping track of the ingredients that you have in the house. And I love using the calendars to look back on the things that our family was eating this time last year so I can pull inspiration from things that I already know that our family likes to eat instead of trying to think of new ideas all the time. So I've used grocery planners for years and it really helps me be able to come up with new ideas, new old ideas of things to make for our family. There are 5 different covers for these planners. I am using the lemon one right now and they are all linked in the description.